Hello everybody and welcome to the beautiful sunny surroundings of the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca event for the IMSA Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge. This one and one more on the 2018 season. The championship is finally balanced. Jeremy Shaw, John Hindhaugh, Shea Adam for the IMSA broadcast crew on a circuit that is mouth-wateringly difficult and challenging. 2.23 miles, just under 2.25 miles, 11 corners. They've been here a while. They've got names. The Andretti hairpin, the Rahal straight, the corkscrew, of course. The action areas at the final corner. Big dive down the inside there at turn 11. Maybe. We've seen that before. We've seen banging and bumping and barging towards the finish line, which is a bit of a drag race out of that slowest corner on the circuit. That's why the drivers love it. And there's another reason too, because it doesn't have a huge amount of grip here. We're surrounded by sandy soil, and that gets blown onto the circuit. It gets dragged onto the circuit by cars who drop their tyres onto the dirt. And that means that track conditions will change throughout the afternoon. We often talk about track position here being, track position in racing being all important. It's going to be how much grip you've got at the end and how you can fight with it. Might we see two tyre stops? Yes, I think we might. Might we see tyre-only stops, even after the cars are fueled to the end of the race? It's a possibility. And minds that are immeasurably better than Jeremy Shaw's and I will have to make that decision sometime during the race and do it under the heat of competition, Jeremy.
The pole sitter in TCR, Tom O'Gorman, sent me a note a little while ago saying they can run well over 75 minutes on a tank of fuel, so they can easily do it on one pit stop. However, the tyres are really only particularly good for about half of that stint, so that leaves a good 15-20 minutes where they're going to be scrabbling for grip. It could be that they might make two pit stops during this race if they want to make sure they've got better tyres for the final stages.
Welcome along to those of you here at the circuit. It's IMSA Radio and IMSA TV together. If you've got friends who aren't here, make sure you tell them to tune in to IMSA.com or to the IMSA app, and they can see what they're missing. And you have the best view in the house, trackside here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for the 122 hours of competition. And so many times in the history of the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge, Jeremy and I have thought it was all done and dusted, and in the last 5 laps or 10 minutes, or even on the last lap itself, major positions have changed. And with everything that we've already talked about here, Jeremy, with the tactics, with the tyres, with the championships, it could happen again here. We saw it last year with positions changing in the last couple of laps. The championship leader, Owen Trinkler, had to give up track position here last year because he was losing grip in these Nissan Altimas he was driving then.
And we've seen cars potentially running out of fuel or just saving enough fuel just to get to the finish line as well. Even after the last race at VIR, the ST winner, one of the mini JCWs, actually failed post-race tech because of an infraction with the boost control on that car. So it can go to the checker flag and beyond. You don't want it to go beyond the checker flag. You want it to be decided on the racetrack here this afternoon. And hang on to your hats, folks. I think this is going to be fun.
4 Mustangs qualifying together in the middle of the field, rumbled past us. I have to say that. Can we do that every week, the lads from Ford, please? That was quite important. I really like that. And we've got Camaro back as well, because the number 71 machine is there in 11th position. Andrew Davies will be starting that. But watch out at the start of the race for those fast-starting TCR cars. As Jeremy was talking about, the 2-litre front-wheel drive machines are very powerful, nearly 300 horsepower in IMSA spec, but more importantly, they are very quick through the twisty sections. And guess what we have after the run to the Andretti hairpins here? We have some twisty sections. Yeah. Add to that the temperatures on the front tyres, which are the important tyres on those TCR cars, come up much quicker than the cars around them.
Yeah, and the problem here for the TCR leaders is they are much quicker than many of the GS cars in front of them. The regulation demand they start behind all the GS cars, and the regulators also demand them to be packed up with the GS cars as well at the start of the race. It doesn't allow them to give any sort of a gap and allow the GS cars to pull away, then work their way through once they've sorted themselves out. So this is going to be very, very tricky at the start.
The Lexus safety car heads into the pit lane. Sound and vision together. And Austin Hilliard Racing has tweeted at IMSA Radio to say, I'm hooked up to the 67-inch screen and full surround sound. Well, guys, enjoy this. This time is set to 2 hours. The green flag is in the air, and we're racing at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for the 120 challenge. And the pole sitter, the Mia McLaren, getting away and putting some gap into the field, and that means that Jesse Lazare can get into the first couple of corners without having to compromise his line. First job done there, Jeremy, by the pole sitter.
Absolutely right. And Spencer Papelli tucks into second. Tyler McQuarrie in that Audi in third place. That's the Peregrine Racing Carbahn Autosport entry. That's car's got a bit of a weighted advantage on some of the cars, but not the one ahead of it. The Porsche Cayman is a little bit lighter. The McLaren at the front of the field, that is the heaviest in the entire field.
Good start from Owen Trinkler as well. The Mercedes tends to be a little bit, take a little longer time to get up to pace in the early part of the race, and the internecine Ford battles on.
Yeah, the two Multimatic Motorsports teammates there, coming out 8 and 15, started by Chad McCumbee and Ty Majeski. They were rubbing doors going into turn 5 and 6.
They share a pit box, those cars. That could get a bit naughty. Owen Trinkler looking racy as he's right in behind the grey and very, very bright green Audi of Tyler McQuarrie. The leaders heading down from the corkscrew to complete the first of the laps here. Timed certain race. Oh, a little bit of a mistake there from second place Spencer Pumpelly as he was pushing rather too hard in the red, white, black and silver Porsche. And remember, he's on the tyres on which that car qualified. A lot of the cars around him on sticker Continentals, brand new Continentals, across the line then at the end of the first lap. And he's the pole sitter, the 69, Mia McLaren, from the RS1 Porsche of Spencer Pumpelly by half a second. Then Tyler McQuarrie, then Owen Trinkler in the first of the Mercedes. Then that, we decided to, the correct collective noun for Fords is an oval of Fords. Well, there were line astern, but there's 4 of them, 60, 58, 8 and 15. And the top 10 made up by the BMW of James Clear and another Ford, the bright yellow number 7, Alan Brynjolfsson, in 10th position. This is the absolute copybook start for our pole sitter. They worked hard for this. And Jesse Lazare pulling away maybe a little bit in ST. Colin Mullen has gone to the head of that class, fought his way through, and now leads from Jason Rabe in second place. What's happened to Nick Gallant, our pole sitter? He's dropped back to 4th position in ST. So not the perfect opening lap for that pole sitter. In TCR, Tom O'Gorman already picking his way through the back of the GS field. Remember, his time was good enough to put him in the top 10. So he will be fighting past cars that have more power than his 2-litre Audi, but he's got to do that cleanly, and he's got to do it in a way that doesn't completely take the life out of his Continental tyres. End of lap 2, and the battle is on for the lead as Spencer Pumpelly has brought his worn Continentals up to temperature and pressure, and is now beginning to pressure the leader, and not just the rubber on the Continentals. Down to the hairpin, the Andretti hairpins, turn number 2.
And the weight of those two cars at the front of the field, well, the McLaren weighs in at 1,585 kilograms, the Porsche Cayman at a mere 1,295. That's a huge differential. It's almost 600 pounds. I mean, that's 2 or 3 people aboard that car, the McLaren. But this is going to be a fascinating battle. Can Jesse Lazare look after those tyres? And
Nick Galante had a better second lap than he did first, because now he's back at the lead of the ST category. Great scraps going down there in the classes. Hello to Paul Holton, who normally would be racing here this weekend, but he was drafted across to the Far East to go and drive a McLaren over there. He set his alarm, he's up, he's watching and listening. Paul, we'd love to see you here, but I'm sure you're having a great time there, and fabulous to know you tuned in to IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. And it is the McLaren that was on pole position, the Mia car that leads from Spencer Pumpelly.
And in ST there must have been a timing glitch there, because number 81 car definitely came past, I'm pretty sure it came past here in the lead of the class, not by very much. The two minis were tucked in right behind, as was the little Porsche Cayman of the Body Motion Racing team as well, but it would appear the pole sitter is still in the lead in ST.
In TCR, the battle for the lead is about a second. Tom O'Gorman to Brick Casey Jr., but the action is right at the front of the field. The GS cars are a global formula, GT4, so they are based on street cars. Allowable modifications include safety, of course, stripping a bit of weight out, and one or two racing parts. But they do run to a global formula, so you could take any one of these cars here and race them in a GT4 race around the world. And this is why we've got 20 plus of these cars. It has grown and grown and grown. You then step up to GT3, which is what GT Daytona will be running tomorrow in the WeatherTech race here at Laguna Seca. And the ultimate, as far as GT competition is concerned, is GT Le Mans, which is also in the WeatherTech racing tomorrow. That's as far as the street car based versions. There are things like Japanese Super GT, which are more like prototypes, but a nicely defined way of moving up through GT racing with these global formula. And
there is the BMW again in the lead in ST, but the change for TCR lead now. It's Brick Casey Jr. has managed to find a way past Tom O'Gorman. I wonder whether that's strategic by Tom. Don't know whether he might have made a mistake. He could be just content to run there, not take too much out of those tyres in the early stages.
Looks like Spencer Pumpelly thinks this might be the time. 5 different manufacturers in the top 5 places: McLaren, Porsche, Audi, Mercedes, AMG and Ford Mustang. And they all have very similar lap times, Jeremy, but they all make those lap times in very different ways. The weight is part of it, where the engine is, the balance of the car, the size of the engine and how much torque they've got. So we've got a mid-engine McLaren from a mid-engined Porsche, because it is a mid-engine Cayman, from a mid-engine Audi at the moment. The first of the front-engine cars is Owen Trinkler in 4th position, and he's dropped almost 2 seconds to the leading trio. But he doesn't really need to be fighting with those guys right now. That's smart for the championship.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, yes. And he'll be pretty happy right now. Lap 2, it was the Porsche Cayman that set the fastest lap of the race. Lap 3, it was the Audi that set the fastest lap of the race in 3rd position. These 3 cars, as you say, just edging away just a little bit from the 4th place championship leader, Owen Trinkler. But I think everybody will be pretty happy with where they are right now in these leading positions.
Already 8 minutes have gone, or if you prefer, we're on lap number 5. The lap count we'll keep an eye on for pit stop purposes, but remember, this is a time certain race, so 1 hour 52 minutes and 20 seconds or thereabouts on the clock, as the leading trio now are together. Now remember, gentlemen, this is not a 5 or 10 lap sprint. This is a 2-hour enduro, and you need to hand that car over to your teammate in pristine condition. I always say to people new to endurance racing, when they ask me, who am I racing, John? Who should I be fighting against? I say nobody. You're not racing until the last 10 laps.
Yeah, you're fighting yourself at this stage.
That's right.
You feel like you can go faster, but if you do go faster, you'd run the risk of taking more out of these Continental tires earlier on in the stint, and that's going to hurt you later on.
Has to be a bit of patience here. And also, think of these racing cars as the most expensive hire car that you're ever going to pick up from an airport, and you've got no collision damage waiver on it. So you want to hand that car over at the end of your time with it exactly as you picked it up. All right, it might be a bit dirty, it might have a few flies on it, maybe even a little bit of dust, but you want to give the car to your teammate in a position where they can be competitive in the important laps towards the end of the race. So you can't just be leaning on everybody and knocking bits of bodywork off and mashing the suspension. It's got to be a car that can compete at the end. You do not win these races in the first 5 or 6 laps. It's been a good start to the race by Jesse Lazare, who has come up through the partner series of IMSA. We've seen him racing through the developmental series, if you will. Talent spotted by the MIA team and brought into the McLaren squad, repaying, undoubtedly, Jeremy, repaying that confidence that's been shown in him with not just that pole position, but how he's holding Spencer Pumpelly and Tyler McQuarrie behind him. This is good racing.
Yeah, it is, and he was delighted with his first pole yesterday, and that's fine, but he wants that first win.
Now, how did Britt Casey Jr. get past Al Paulson to Tom O'Gorman? Answer going down into the final corner. Jagged to the left, braked a little later, then lift off the brakes and gets through. So they are stuck in behind the Mark Ramsey number 92, or at least they were when that positional change took place. They've now both gone by. No Alex Premat in the 92 car this weekend. He's on duty elsewhere. So the dark red number 92 AMG GT4 without Alex Premat this weekend. Let's head down to the pit lane. Shea Adam is watching closely as the cars go past her Continental Tire pit lane reporting area, and you've noticed a problem for one of the TCR cars.
For Roy Block, the grille is hanging off of the front of the 75 car, and that Audi, one of the Compass Audis, won here last year in the ST category, but it's severely deranged, and it's getting more and more so with every passing lap. So I would imagine Roy's going to have to come in and fix that. At the very least, use some tape on that here shortly.
Thank you, Shea. That's Shea Adam, our Continental Tire pit lane reporter. It'll get busy for her in round about 45 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes, I reckon, as people are more likely to be tyre limited here than they are fuel limited. And that's when the tough decisions will have to be made.
Super battle probably at the top of the hill, or maybe just coming down through the corkscrew now for second place in ST. Nick Galante is making his escape there, but the other four cars are swapping places, well, every lap. The body motion car just moved up into second place. That's car number 21 with Jason Rabe at the wheel, and Mike Lamara also moving up in car number 73.
Colin Mullen demoted down to fourth position for the moment. That will change. The leading trio seemingly settling in here. What I'm noticing here, don't think these guys aren't racing, but they're not racing necessarily as hard as they might. Across the start-finish line, the black and yellow 21 of Jason Rabe just pulling away for the moment from Mike Lamara in the black and red Mini. Such a classic Mini livery. That colour, the red car with the black shiny roof, and the body motion Porsche looking vaguely similar to the car in second position, but not with the same amount of aerodynamic accoutrement. A little more stock in ST, this category going away at the end of this season. Oh, and a mistake by Lamara, goes off at turn 4 behind that number 21 car and immediately comes under attack from the bright yellow Mini that was in behind, and in fact has lost the position. So that is Colin Mullen gone back up into third place. Mini third, fourth and fifth at the moment. Looking like a scene from the Italian job. We really need to get those painted red, white and blue. Going to miss those cars next season. And the great support from the Mini owners clubs around the country who come out. And we're going to have to get those cars in red, white and blue for Petit, aren't we? That's the last time we're going to see them. For the Italian job tribute. Jason Rabe drifting his way through turn number 10 at the bottom of the hill as the leaders are at the corkscrew. Still, McLaren, Porsche, Audi, as quick as I can see it, that's how they go through. Just fancy that Spencer Pumpelly is just feeling the grip underneath that RS1 Porsche, the red, white, black and grey, or silver car, as they head down the hill to the final corner, all the way down the gearbox. The slowest corner on the circuit is the left-hander that leads on to the start-finish line, and a little bit of a slide there as the rear end couldn't cope with the power Those Continentals sliding out from underneath Spencer Pumpelly in the 28 Porsche. And has that given a little bit of encouragement to Tyler McQuarrie in the dark grey Audi with the green flashes? It has. He closes up top 3 within half a second. In fact, within 4/10 of a second. Owen Trinkler beginning to come back to those guys now. Dropped away to the better part of 3 seconds from the leaders. Now just over 2. He is, I think, driving as well as I've ever seen Owen, and he's put in some good drives down through the years. Extremely experienced driver in this form of racing. He's fast, he's thoughtful, scrupulously fair, and he's just beginning to pick his pace up a little bit. Or actually, are the leaders coming back to him?
Yes.
I think that's more what's going on, isn't it? Their times are going out a little bit.
Yeah, they've dropped the pace by probably a second. 33.7 were the fastest lap time for the leader. That was on lap 3, that's about right. Now doing consistent 35.0 each of the last 2 laps for our race leader, car number 69, Jesse Lazar.
Lazar in control of the race at the moment. His team will be telling him, don't look in the mirror, focus forward, hit your marks, brake, downshift, turn in, power. It's all you've got to do. Sounds easy when you put it like that, isn't it? I can tell you it isn't. When you're under pressure from somebody like Spencer Pumpelly, when you're at the front of the race, when you're leading from pole position, the pressure that is being put on by the driver behind is as of naught compared to what you're putting on yourself. Got to keep remembering to breathe. Meantime, fighting his way up through the field, Russell Ward is inside the top 10 at 10 now in the 33 Winward Racing Mercedes AMG GT4. Damien Faulkner, his driving partner for the second half of the race. The Irishman will get in. Damien leaving for pastures new at the end of the season. Spent a good couple of seasons with Winward and has really put the hard yards in with that team. Been an extraordinary rise for Winward, who just a couple of years ago were doing club races in this part of the world, and both Russell and Bryce proving that they can hold their own in the top echelons of the sport.
Yeah, and Russell Ward has actually moved up a couple of positions over the last 3 or 4 laps. So he's first of all passed the number 71 Chevy Camaro of Andrew Davis. Also now got past Alan Brynjolfsson in the Volt Racing Ford Mustang.
And that's the Mercedes again, Jeremy. We've seen it before, taking a little while longer to get to the optimum of their racing speed. You can't push the tyres on those cars too early. Russell Ward lapping quicker than several in the top 10. And Owen Trinkler picking up his pace as well as the leaders. There was just a little hint of a challenge for the lead from Spencer Pumpelly coming into the final corner last time around, and now they've got the 3 minis battling for 3rd, 4th and 5th in ST, and Jesse Lazar has to be very careful. He's got to race smart here. He goes to the right hand side through turn 3, and the first of the minis is dealt with, and he gets that mini between himself and the chasing Spencer Pumpelly. Nate Norenberg not making it difficult. He pulls out of the way now into turn 5, and again the Mia McLaren just has that mini between itself. Oh, and perhaps just a little bit of a delay for Spencer Pumpelly as he went past the number 73 of Mike LaMarra. Climbing the hill to the corkscrew once again, and the top 3 have now cleared all of those minis. It's good driving by everybody, that. There's a skill, Jeremy, isn't there, to being passed as much as there is to passing people. You want to show people where you're going if you're going to move offline, but you don't want to ruin that lap if you're in a battle for 3rd in class. Yeah,
very true. Very true. And they've all done an excellent job of that. It's the first time they're going to be overtaken in this race. We're 20 minutes in, so it'll be 4 or 5 times at least more that they were going to go laps behind the overall leaders, but that's of no concern to them. Important thing here is, you say, keep up that momentum, don't lose ground to their competitors in class.
top three just spread out for a moment to almost a full second as they went across the line, but now they're in the traffic. That's going to ebb and flow just a little bit, and this is concentration par excellence for Jesse Lazare. Coming up on the BMW ST car, racing to end Alzheimer's this weekend, r2endalz.org, and that car in a purple livery with over 100 names of people who have been affected by that cruel disease, and a huge amount of money being raised over the season by Nick Galante for Alzheimer's research. One of a number of social responsibility programs that are around the IMSA paddock. The guys here doing their bit for nominated charities and a bit more in a lot of cases. For the moment, Tyler McQuarrie has been separated away from the two leaders. Coming down to the final corner, turn number 11. Will Pumpelly just have a little look? He's not close enough that time, and Jesse Lazare does not need to, or feel the need to defend. Let's go down for a Continental Tire pit lane report. Shea Adam is in the pits.
Damien Faulkner of the 33 Windward Racing Mercedes. Russell's been on a tear the last couple of laps, getting around one of the Camaros and one of the Fords. As a Mercedes, has he radioed in that it's handling better than it has been in practice or qualifying?
No, not really. I think he got a bit unlucky to get behind those guys at the first corner, and so he just really sort of chasing them down and trying to pick them off. He did that, I think, on the pretty much the same lap or within 2 laps there. So you can see him now pulling away, and hopefully he's chasing after the BMW. He's almost just within 1 second now, so he's closing that gap as well. So we need to get up there into the top 10 and have a good race.
Does it take just a little bit longer to get up to pace on starts and restarts for you guys?
Ordinarily, no. But it depends on the circuit. I think everybody's struggling here. There's just not a lot of grip. I mean, look, you know, drivers love challenges, right? That's why they love drivers' tracks. This is a real drivers' track, and just to compound matters or to make the challenge even greater, it's got very little grip. So it requires a lot of finesse, something that us racing drivers sometimes aren't used to, or some are better than others, I should say.
In terms of the race today, though, you're going to be getting in the car a little bit later when the minimum drive time is up. You're on the Mazda pit box, and you have the ability to look at every single camera screen. Are you watching out at the competition to see who is going to be your biggest foe once you get in the car?
Well, I mean, this Mazda unit is quite something else. It's incredible, and we're very lucky to have it this weekend. They've just got screens everywhere, and there's a lot of room, and we're up like, I think, 2 levels here. So did you get the elevator up here?
No, I didn't. I had to walk.
You climbed the stairs. Yeah, it's lovely. Look, the competition is really tough in the Continental Series. This year has been unbelievable, and but we're seeing 3 at the front, maybe 3 or 4 at the front, and they're really fast. So we're trying to claw our way back from the start. I think he's posting some good lap times now, and hopefully we can make our way forward. But I mean, everybody's a competition, really. We're just hoping for a good result, and by that I mean we really want to be on the podium.
Good luck getting there.
Thank you.
Damien Faulkner with that Continental Tire pit lane report, and Shea Adam. Lap times are going out, Jeremy. 36s and 37s in the top 10, and this is exactly what the teams were worried about. The minimum drive time to which Shea was referring, by the way, 45 minutes here, isn't it? And without that, that's to get the car classified. And so that also has to be factored into the calculations. And the fact that it isn't a straight hour is deliberate, because you've got to then make the choice. When do you pit? You pit at 45 minutes. And if you do, you can't get enough fuel in at that point to go all the way to the end for the GS cars. can probably just about do it in a TCR car.
TCR's no problem.
Right.
They can do well over the hour.
Okay.
On fuel,
but not necessarily on tyres. And we
No.
come back to the under tyres again in our keys to the race. Bit of a lack of rear grip from our leader in the Mia McLaren. Jesse's bit of Tokyo drift coming out of the Andretti hairpin. Tyler McQuarrie in third position in the Audi. Both Tyler and Jeffy's teammates very much on home ground here.
another position going there from number 33 car. Russell Ward now up into the top, into 9th position.
Now we're getting into the TCR cars for the leaders. Just finishing my point on the Audi drivers, Tyler McQuarrie and his teammate Jeff. Those guys have been instructors down the road or up the road at Sonoma for many years and know this part of the world very, very well indeed. Nico Rondet, also Sim Raceway driving school instructor. He was the man brave enough, stroke mad enough, to sit beside me in an Audi TT-RS a few years ago around that circuit, and we had an afternoon of rushing around that circuit at indecent speeds. I enjoyed it wonderfully. I'm not sure about Nico. Tells me he never had a grey hair before that afternoon. So we're coming down to the first half an hour of competition. So quarter time in about 4 minutes. And here's how it stands at the front of the field. McLaren, Motorsport in Action McLaren number 69 from RS1. Porsche Cayman in second, the 28 car. Then the 39 Audi R8, the grey and green car third. Those three cars now back within 0.3 of a second as they went across the line. 0.6 of a second, excuse me, as they went across the line. Owen Trinkler settling in to a very sensible run for the championship, leading number 46 Mercedes. That's the very pretty blue fluorescent orange car. Sitting on his own. He's 3.5 seconds behind, 2.5 seconds behind the cars in front, but 3.5 seconds ahead of Nate Stacey in the 60 Ford in 5th position. Then Joey Atterbury in the 59 Ford, two teammates there, separated by a couple of seconds. Then Ty Majeski and Chad McCumbee pretty close together. Actually, McCumbee and Majeski 8 and 15. Russell Ward into 9th, as Jeremy mentioned, in the second of the Mercedes, the Winward car. And rounding up the top 10 now, James Clay in the BMW number 82. In TCR, Brooke Casey Jr. has eased away quite substantially from Tom O'Gorman in second place, and he's got Rodrigo Salas 12 seconds behind.
Yeah, he's got a car in between himself.
Yeah, so he has.
But
it's got a couple of seconds. Yeah,
so
just a couple of
not
seconds.
that much. I mean, Tom O'Gorman, I'm sure, is just managing himself at this stage and making sure that everything is hunky-dory for Kenton Cook when he takes over for the final stint of the race. It was effectively Kenton's home track from Glendora in California, the LA area. Home, it's 6 hours away from here, but he started off doing quite a bit of racing here at the Skip Barrel Racing School.
Now, at the moment, the teams will be crunching the numbers as we get a challenge for second position. Good run up the hill from Tyler McQuarrie, but can't get the overlap going through that little right-hand kink before the corkscrew. Teams will be crunching the numbers on the pit wall, working out what the fuel flow is, working out how far into the race they can get. They'll also be talking to the drivers on the radio. You can bet your last dollar that they'll be saying, how's the tyres? How's the tyres now? How's the tyres now? No, now. Now, what about now? Because that is the worry here. Nothing's going to happen before 45 minutes are up if we stay green. And then we'll see who's confident about their tyre life. The leaders now coming up to pass one of the E-Euro parts car, which I think is the number 10 of Kieran O'Rourke, that they're coming up to here as they come under the Continental Bridge into our sight, and now through turn 4. our commentary position, just up to the left-hand side of where the cars are going past now. Shea Adam, we've had a pit caller and it's not on time, and this will not be good news for Paul Holton, who's abroad at the moment and listening in. Shea?
Paul, you can go back to sleep. Your car just went behind the wall. It's going back to the garage. For the Compass McLaren, it has been a rough weekend. They were dealing with a couple of misfires yesterday. Before one of the practice sessions, the car has just gone back to the garage.
Paul's in the Far East at the moment doing some driving, being called upon by McLaren. Answered that call, set his alarm to watch and listen to us here on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. Sorry to bring you that bad news, Paul. Maybe have a cup of coffee and settle in. It's one of your other McLaren teams that's leading at the moment. And yeah, 76 confirmed going behind the wall. That's a dark grey and red McLaren GT4. Let's check we've just gone through the half-hour mark, so that is quarter time. In ST, Nick Gallant has been closed down actually now by Jason Rabe in the 21 Porsche. It's down to just half a second now. Then Colin Mullins about another 3.5 back. He's got a second on Nate Norenberg and Matt Lamara. So that's 81 BMW, 21 Porsche, and then Minis 52, 37 and 73. In TCR, as we mentioned, Britt Casey Jr., the 77 Audi, leads from the 12 of Tom O'Gorman by a couple of seconds. Tom's got a handy margin, nearly 14 seconds on Rodrigo Salas. Remember, Rodrigo thinking championship in that 74 Compass car. Now, Michael Johnson in fourth in the 54 in TCR. Meantime, coming through the field, Aston Martins having a bit of a battle there with Brett Morsing. Bryce Ward not too far away from that either in the other Winwood car. And there's a Ford out of position there as well in that little gaggle of cars that are battling it out.
Change of lead there, number 21, body motion Porsche.
He'd fought back well, yeah, Jeremy,
he's
the last few laps.
Just overtaken.
That's an ST lead we're talking about there.
Yep, new leader.
So that's well paced by Jason Rabe, and that body motion Porsche has then hunted down that purple BMW and got to the lead. Meantime, at the first corner, first proper corner, Spencer Pumpelly having a look down the inside. Jesse Lazare goes wide in the middle of that corner. He does it every lap. It's not a mistake. That's his line. He lets the car breathe in the middle of the corner. Spencer Pumpelly seeing an opportunity to get in tighter there and possibly stick the bright red nose of his Cayman up the inside and get to the second apex, the second part of the corner before the leader. Couldn't do it that time around. Lost a bit of ground as a result, and Tyler McQuarrie thinks, might I have a chance here? I think McQuarrie, far from just hanging on there, I think McQuarrie's pacing himself here.
Yeah, I do too.
I like the look of what McQuarrie's doing here. He's getting the draft, he's saving a bit of fuel, and he's not sliding that Audi around at all, Jeremy.
No, he's being, I mean, you know, he's a drifter, literally. He's one of the top drifters in the country. So he's used to sliding sideways and burning up the rubber, but that's exactly doing the exact opposite in this race this afternoon, and he's doing a really, really good job of it. And Jeff Westphal, both of those two guys, of course, are from Central California here, so they've got a lot of hometown support here. The team, Peregrine Racing and Carbahn Autosport, also from the Bay Area as well. Yeah,
and Steve Dannon on the wall for that team as well this weekend. Legend in motor racing circles. The battle for TCR lead goes through turn number 5 and climbs the hill. Meantime, the battle for the third place is also hotting up as well. So two pairs of TCRs with Britt Casey Jr. in the 77 leading from Tom O'Gorman in second. That's down to less than half a second. And the red, white and blue Audi in third is that of Michael Johnson, and Rodrigo Sales in the Compass car is right up his tailpipes.
Right, and that's just changed. Last time it's been a long, long battle between those two, the 74 and the 54, and Michael Johnson finally finding a way past there.
09 Aston Martin, having a look at Martin Barkey. That's Rod Eklund Jr. in 14th, looking at the 13th position. White Ford, and he's going to put him to the sword. Down turn 3, Martin Barkey tries to close the door, but that was a little late, couldn't get it done, and here comes the Tangerine Dream, the 56 car right in there as well. And that is Jeff Mosing, of course. This is all battling just outside the top 10.
Yeah, and Rob Eklund Jr. has worked his way past that little group,
Yes,
hasn't
he has.
Done a really nice job.
Good to have the automatic Aston Martins back. Waiting to hear of Aston Martin's plans in the States. Side by side for TCR lead. They've just gone by one of the minis, and Tom O'Gorman for a moment I think had his nose of his Audi in front as they were going past the number 37 ST Mini in the hands of Nate Norenberg, but he's had to drop it back in behind. This is tyres, Jeremy. This is tyres. The 77 car of Britt Casey Jr. hasn't got the grip at all of Tom O'Gorman. Tom able to place his car anywhere he wants, and Britt Casey, that car is sliding around under him. Also looks almost at times looks like a rear drive car. He's backing it into the corners and off the oh, it's the leader. The leader is off the track right in front of us, and looks like damage to the, he's lost a wheel. The left rear wheel has gone, I think. I don't think it's just the tyre, no, it's gone. The centre lock nut has gone. The user racing style centre nut, and that is cruel look for the Mia team, the Motorsport in Action team. Jesse Lazare in the lead of the race, and just to our right at turn 4, he's in the gravel and the wheel is not there. Full course yellow. The pits are closed. Oh my goodness. Now this is going to be, what have we got left? An hour and 23 minutes. It's too early to get your driver time in. I wonder who'll come in. I wonder if this might change tactics, Jeremy. You might think now, if you're a GS team, get one guy out, get another guy in. If you have to change at the end, you might as well put a set of tyres on. I don't know. How does this go? Cruel look. Jesse Lazare had done nothing wrong at all. So where, yeah, it happened right at that spot. He drifted wide and the tyre goes and tries to make its bid for freedom and does in fact clear the catch fencing there.
Yeah.
Shea Adam was just saying to me before that happened that she could smell a tyre rub on the start-finish line, and the wheel nut came off.
Yeah.
The wheel nut came off the car. Well, that has left Spencer Pumpelly to inherit the lead, but it will close up everyone in the top 10. So, Jeremy, what do you do now? Put your team manager's hat on. Do you pit?
Well, certainly, I think we'll see quite a few people coming onto pit lane to take on fuel and tyres, and then we've got an hour and 22 minutes remaining. So we've got 82 minutes, so 40 minutes or so. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Certainly, it is too soon to make the driver change, so you don't want to do that. But I think at this stage, yeah, you've got to come in and take on service.
Right, we're about 8 minutes away from 7 minutes away from the pits or the drive time being fulfilled, and this is a relatively short track. It's just under 2.25 miles. Shea Adam, what are you seeing down on the pit lane?
A lot of teams are up on the pit wall waiting for their cars to come in. Pretty much all of the Ford teams are going to be bringing in their Mustangs to put new tires on. Looks like the Compass team is getting ready perhaps for the 77 to come in and take new tires. And the Camaro as well, that team is up on the wall.
Okay.
But there's quite a few teams, more than I would have expected, who are going to be coming in.
I think if you're a GS team, you've got to think,
I don't think you can afford to stay out there on old
tyres. Exactly.
I mean, looking at lap times, they've been doing consistent low 36s Jesse Lazar in his last few laps, and really nice consistent lap times as well. They were doing 33s and 4s earlier on, so you're dropping 2 seconds a lap. For the guys that come out now on fresh tyres, that's what you're going to be giving up on, possibly even more.
Well, credit Spencer Pumpelly, because he wasn't on new tyres at the start of this race when all around him were. Remember, he was on the tyres on which they qualified that RS1 Rennsport 1 Porsche. I tell you, this is not going to be an easy recovery. We might be getting a little closer. We're now only 5 minutes away from the drive time. So it might be a moot point here. We might actually get somewhere near the 45 minutes in before that Mia McLaren is back in the pit lane. So that would open up the tactical decision even more. Very odd one. I mean, the car clearly had all 4 wheels on coming out of 3, and then all of a sudden the wheel nut disappears and the left rear tyre goes with it.
Yeah, bizarre.
Clearly no, in fact the wheel nut rolled back onto the track, which is very odd. And the tyre managed to clear the catch fencing, which is a little worrying. There was a rub on that tyre. You can see a groove on the tyre when it went over the catch fencing. So that's what the Shea could possibly smell in the pit. So that might have been happening from only a couple of corners or so beforehand. Now, watch the clock, ladies and gentlemen, whether you've got the timing and scoring up on the IMSA app, free to download, free to use, or whether you're on the TV pictures with the clock in the middle of the screen. When that gets down to 1:15, that's driver time up. Ace piece of driving by Spencer Pumpelly. Looks like Jesse Lazar just about felt it and lifted off, but he wasn't going to get that car back. Huge slide from Pumpelly. He had to go in on the wrong line to turn 4 and drifting it through turn 4. Now, whole of the top 10, in fact, the whole of the field down to 19th position in GS, all on the same lap. So they are all now line astern. The TCR field, I think, are all on the same lap. Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. 3 of them, number 10, 61 and 75. If you're out on the racetrack here, they're coming towards turn 3 and 4 now. They were trapped between the safety car and their class leader. As a consequence of that, they've been waved past the safety car, and they will now be able to cycle around to the back of the field so that they're not inconvenienced purely by the timing of this safety car. So they were on the same lap as their class leader, and they're now able to run around and catch them up before they will make their pit stops.
3 minutes from now before the drive time's up.
Pit stops. 3 minutes, yeah, so another lap.
Yeah.
We'll just about...
but it's
not quite
the pit lane's open and the cars are in. The leaders have decided to come in. Macquarie stayed out. Macquarie stayed out in the Audi. Owen Trinkler in. Also in the Joey Atterbury car. Let's go down to Shea Adam for a Continental, what I'm sure will be a fraught Continental Tire report.
Pumpelly is in and getting new tires for the first time in the race. The 28 car will have fresh tires. Owen Trinkler taking new tires and fuel in the 4016 TGM Mercedes. In the 84, they are doing fuel and tires for Martin Barkey. No driver change. Fuel and tires for the 15 of Ty Majeski as well. The 59 Mustang, which has run 2 cars this year, the Roush team, they are doing a staggered stop. So the 59, which is not in for the championship, is in now. The 60 will come in once the minimum time has been met, and they can focus on 1 car at a time. The number 19 Stephen Cameron Racing BMW is also in for fuel and tires, and the 82 BMW, just leaving now, also did fuel and tires. Owen Trinkler is the first car off the pit lane after the number 80 Ford Mustang. So now we have a Mustang mixed in with the Mercedes. The 28 of Spencer Pumpelly gets rolling behind 3 Mustangs and an Aston Martin. And all that's left on the pit lane, the 65 Murillo Racing Mercedes. They have done fuel and tires for the starting driver as well. And the 59 Mustang is still here. They're having some trouble with the right rear tires, so it's a good thing that they staggered this stop to not take the 60 out of championship contention.
Yeah, and that is exactly why they did that, Shea. Exactly. Nate Stacey up to 2nd position as the 59, its team car, is now moving. That green, red and white stripe machine is going out. Looked to me as though there was a slight stumble on the right front of the TGM racing car with Owen Trinkler at the wheel. But as the fuel was still going in, it was at no cost to them. What I don't know is whether there was a problem with the 28 or whether it just takes them a little longer to fill the car, because they were a lot longer on the pit lane for Spencer Pumpelly in that Porsche.
Yeah, they were.
Shea Adam was watching there. Did you see anything particular that might have caused a trouble for the Rennsport 1, the RS1 car?
Nothing that stood out, but they were the first car into their pit box, and it was a very, very slow pit stop. So whether they were just taking on a bit more fuel, because this is a track where Spencer Pumpelly is kind of sensitive about his fuel load.
Well, he just fill it to the brim. So it'll be, I'm always very wary about saying the team's had a bad pit stop without knowing what the fuel fill rates are, and because that is part of the balance of performance here.
Well, I think about this race now, where we're not very good at maths. We're about a third of the way through, so they've got to make one more pit stop. The question then is, do you take on 2/3 of a tank of fuel, or do you fill it up and then make a shorter fuel fill next time around? Given the way the tyres are such a major factor here, I would suggest a lot of the teams will put on not as much fuel as they might otherwise do, in order therefore to keep the car a little bit lighter when they go out there on the fresh tyres right now, and then there'll be another pit stop, if it stays green, halfway from here to the end of the race.
Right. Now the 45 minutes is up, so I'm guessing, Shea Adam, that no ST or TCR cars came in because the 45 wasn't up.
Bingo. And they're all coming in, and
next
by all,
time.
I mean GS, TCR, and ST. They're all coming in the next time around. This is going to be really busy.
The Lexus safety car is pacing the field at the moment. Are we going to get Tyler McQuarrie in next time as well? Is he going to give up the track position and come in anyway? Because then the timing's up. Have we got? Oh, hang on.
Don't think so.
Hang on. Problem for the 65. The right front tyre and wheel combination, I don't think, is on properly. A fantastic pickup by our camera operators, but there looks to be a very nasty vibration on the right front of the tangerine and white Murillo Racing number 65 car, which did come down the pit lane. Shea, go ahead.
To answer your question about the Audi, I don't think that McQuarrie is going to come in because there are sticker tires on the wall, but there are no crew members standing and waiting.
Right, okay. Let's have a close look at that right front. Now that is one of the cars that has 5 lug nuts as opposed to the racing single centre lock nut for the McLaren. Their pit stops are slightly different because of that. Bit of debris on the front of the Compass 74 car. Check that 75 car of Roy Block. That's the front. In fact, Shea, was that the car that had the issue earlier on?
Yep, that's the one where the bumper is falling off from the right-hand side.
Right, so that isn't a piece of debris on the car, it's a piece of debris from the car.
Self-inflicted debris,
right,
yes.
Self-inflicted debris. Very good. At IMSA Radio, if you want to get in touch with us, the pits are open for anyone who wants to come in. Let's see who takes the opportunity. The top 9 GS cars have not pitted. The first car in GS that is pitted is Martin Barkey, in the 84. They did a great turnaround in that number 80 car, but Martin, of course, is still in that car. I think they might have been one of the teams, as Jeremy and Shea were suggesting, who did a short fill. Let's see if McQuarrie decides to roll the dice and stay out there for another 12 or 14 minutes and burn the fuel. Yes, he has. But we have got the takers. Here's the ST leader coming in down into the pit lane. It is the Porsche number 21 of Jason Rabe, and he's got Nick Galante right behind him. It will be the battle of the pit crews and some of the TCRs, but not all of the TCRs are in. Shea Adam has this Continental Tire pit lane report.
Yeah, we've got ST cars and TCR cars only, so maybe the pit lane is only open for them that time by. The 77 Compass racing car that came in from the lead is getting a driver change and a fueling. They are going to do tires. The front tires are spinning on the air jacks as the 75 before the sister car that is leading the championship comes in to pit in front of it, they are also doing fuel and tires. They can't change the tires on the front of the car, though, because they were spinning too badly on the 77. Now they have halted them, but they have lost time because of that blunder. The 65 is back in, by the way, John, and going behind the wall, so good spot by our camera people. The 54 JDC Miller Motorsport car has done a driver change. It is Steven Simpson in place of Michael Johnson. First two cars back off the pit lane are the 37 Mini, followed by the 21 Body Motion Porsche, and then the 73 Mini and the 81 BMW. So our ST cars that came onto the pit lane have now all exited. The first TCR car back off is that number 77 with this Sitzer car right behind it. So the championship leaders are on track together. The number 12 stayed out, though, did not come in for service.
Correct.
And everybody else we've seen.
Don't understand that, because he will get shuffled back, won't he?
He'll have to take the restart behind all the GS cars, and he'll be right ahead of all the other TCR cars that will have fresh tyres.
There will be no final wave by, but there will be a GS class split.
Yeah, there's no need for a wave by, because all of the cars in respective classes are in correct position on the lead lap. The ST cars are a lap down, but there's no other reset required. But they will put all the GS cars ahead of the TCRs, and that will mean, as we just said, that number 12 car will be on old tyres and everybody else will be on fresh tyres. So it's going to be a tough ask here for Tom O'Gorman to hang on there. You know, we talked about it. He was managing the tyres as best he could. If he's managed them really well, perhaps he will be able to hang on ahead of the others, but it's going to be a tough one.
How well?
Very well.
Jeremy Shaw and John Hindhaugh in the IMSA Broadcast Centre with Shea Adam in the beautiful weather here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for the IMSA Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge. We started with 2 hours on the clock. We're coming down to an hour and 9 minutes remaining. And the class split is happening right now. So the GS cars will cycle to the front. The lights are still on the very purposeful looking dark blue Lexus safety car. Purposeful looking and sounding, I should say, when that car's been doing its fast demonstration laps. There's a pair of them here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. So Tyler McQuarrie will take the lead into the pit lane. Now this is interesting. Into the pit lane comes Andrew Davis from 5th position in the line. Now he won't get to do the class split again, so he's going to give up class position, but that means that he is a car, Shea Adam, that will have got his drive time in.
Yes, it will, which means it is time for Robin Liddell. And as we heard from Andrew on the grid, they are doing the driver changes themselves. The 80 of Martin Berkey is back in. Driver change time, so Brett Sandberg will be taking over, and they're going to change the other 2 tires and refill the car. For the number 46, the championship leader, back in. They are going to put a little bit more fuel in the car and change out the drivers. So Hugh Plum taking over for Owen Trinkler. They've already finished with the fuel. Now they are working on finishing up the driver change. They are doing this secondary stop, though. They have already been in once. The first car back out of the pit lane is the number 7 Volt Racing car. Trent Hinman taking over from Alan Brynjolfsson. New tires on that machine. And for the 28, the RS1 Porsche, it is now D-Mac's turn, and he has fresh tires that Spencer just put a little bit of heat on. In the 57 Windward Racing Mercedes, it is Christian Hoenato who has taken over for Bryce Ward, and Owen Trinkler and Hugh Plum's driver change, very slow. They leave behind the Camaros, so that little bit of strategy not working out for Team TGM.
Yeah, Martin Barkey had been in as well in that number 80 before he swapped to Brett Sandberg that time. I'm not sure I see the point of that, to be honest. I'd been happy if they'd gone on for another 20 minutes or so. Anybody who's already stopped and refueled, but all right, seems reasonable. Now, we're wondering about the 28 car and whether it had a problem and why it took so long. Answer, yes, it did. The left front tyre was the problem there, and spotted by the jackman, actually, and he held the car on the jacks whilst that left front tyre went on again. Lost track position, but it didn't have an issue out on the circuit. Safety car is in. We're going back to green with an hour and 6.5 minutes to go. And it will be Tyler McQuarrie on old tyres, remember, from Nate Stacey and Chad McCumbee. Russell Ward in 4th position. Audi, Ford, Mercedes. Jeff Mosing also has not stopped. So the first car in line that has stopped is the 82 BMW, now in 6th position. Huge gaggle of cars. Huge gaggle of TCR cars going down in the first corner, including 2 of the Compass Racing cars. And by the way, all of the TCR cars did make a stop other than the leader, Tom O'Gorman. So everybody other than the white number 12 car. A couple of cars came in behind the safety car there, Shea, as the safety car came into the pit lane.
That will be a penalty for the number 4 Team TGM car. Ted Giovannis out and Guy Cosmo in, and for the number 92, where Mark Ramsey has gotten out and Roger Eagleton has taken over driving duties for the Mercedes. They are having some fueling issues on the number 92 as the fuel probe, not seated properly, was spilling fuel down the left side of the car, but there is no flame, so that's the good news, at least for right now. And just working on finishing the driver change. Both of those cars will be coming back to see me again, though.
Yeah, for the penalty. Got to wait until you've had a full lap of green. Our keys to the race that we talked about in our countdown to green. Pick your battles. Execute your pit stops. No penalties. A couple of people there who didn't take that advice. And the tyres. That one still to play out in the last hour and 5 minutes of the IMSA Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge for the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca 120. Tyler McQuarrie straight down to business and gets into the 36s straight away. Continental Tires had cooled possibly a little behind the safety car. Remember, he stayed out. So did Nate Stacey in the number 60 Ford. So did Chad McCumbee in the number 8 Ford, and Ty Majeski in the 15. Now they will have to come in within the next 20 minutes or so to give 45 minutes of drive time to their co-driver. So that becomes the next cue point in the race, if you will, if they've got enough fuel to get that far. But either way now, they're saying they're going to go on just one more stop. And that will be their last stop. They'll want to get as far into the race as they can to give the tyres the best run. And they're going to have tyres, if they stop in the next, let's say 10 minutes, after 10 minutes, they're going to have tyres that are 15 minutes younger than those who did their stop just a few moments ago. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. In TCR, Tom Long has his sights set on the number 74 of Kuno Whitmer, and that's 2nd and 3rd position. It's been a very good restart from Tom O'Gorman. He's already got by Rod Eklund Jr. in the 09 Aston Martin, and the Aston now is rather playing backstop to Tom O'Gorman, because the 2 Audis chasing Tom are quicker in the corners but can't hold a candle to the bigger engine GT machine ahead of them. Coming down to the hour mark, Jeremy.
Out of a second heading towards turn 5.
So coming down to half distance, and all getting interesting, as I'm delighted to say that we have Pat Long from Porsche and Wright Motorsports joining us, pretty much on home ground. I always think of this as your playground, Pat. Good afternoon.
How's it going? Good to be here. Yeah, this place has a great set of memories for us, especially in the Flying Lizard days, battling Corvette and the like.
Yes, I'm not sure at my age that my heart rate could take that nowadays. It got a little bit overly exciting. Halfway through this Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge here, been talking about tyres all the way through this contest. There's always Spencer Pumpelli's car, the number 28 machine, going a little bit wide at turn 6, and he's going to have to give up a position there. It's still a McAvan behind the wheel, and Brett Sandberg took the opportunity in the 60, the white Mustang, to go straight through turn 6, that uphill corner such a key corner here, Pat. You turn in a little bit too early and you're out on the dirt. You turn in a little bit too late. Your front wheels are on the dirt and you're out on the dirt.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll see as he approaches, the track falls away and it compresses. And as it came up on the compression, it sort of bounced him a car width wide, and then your two wheels in the dirt with no forward drive.
Looking forward to a couple of weeks' time and Rennsport here for Porsche. You've been involved in the organisation of that. Bigger, better than ever, I'm told. Well, I've seen some of the pictures of previous years. It's pretty big, pretty good. How are Porsche going to better that in a couple of weeks' time?
I don't know. We ask that every single time there's Rennsport. Usually it happens every 4 years, so you have a lot of anticipation. Lots of things have happened in the modern day racing, and of course the stories have evolved from the past. So this year we've moved it forward 1 year, so it's only been 3 years that we've had to wait, but it still feels like an eternity. Yeah, we're excited. 70th anniversary for Porsche, and lots of activities planned. An extra day of fun, so 4 days this year, and it's going to be a festival, if you will.
Come back to that in a moment. We've got a battle for the lead coming down the hill to turn number 10. And Tyler McQuarrie looks like he's losing grip in the Audi that leads. Ty Majeski in the 15 Multimatic Ford tries to go around the outside at the final corner. Does he get a little bit of an overlap? Yes, he does, and he powers off the corner, noses ahead, and goes through exactly on the hour mark and is scored as the leader. But now he's on the outside going into the left-hander at the end of the front straight. Now, how brave do these guys want to be? Still an hour of racing to go, and here comes another couple of cars. In fact, the 92 car that's in there is about to unlap itself. The dark red Mercedes that is in there at the moment. That's not a battle for position with that 92 car. But through goes Ty Majeski, dropping a wheel off onto the dirt coming through turn 3, and now passing us at turn 4. Now, did the 92 car change their drivers? At least a couple of laps back. Yes, thank you, Jeremy. Good to see him on the first screen. But I knew he wasn't in that battle. Nate Stacey not too far away behind. And that car fighting its way back. No Alexander Premat this weekend for that team. It's Roger Eagleton, isn't it, who's behind the wheel of that car this weekend. TCR battle has hotted up as well. First, second and third absolutely together as they go through turn 5 underneath the VP Fuels bridge and heading towards that turn 6 area that we were talking about. Tom Long has dropped behind, has he? Yes, he has. He's dropped behind Kuno Whitmer, so that's a change for second. Still leading though, Tom O'Gorman, but the GT cars that were between that battle have got back through for the time being, one of those being Rod Eklund Jr. and Trent Hinman has cleared off in the number 7. So he's up into at least 8th position now. But the top 3, Jeremy, in TCR absolutely together.
They are a really good battle going on there, and you've got the two teammates, number 77 and 74, they are battling for the championship, rubbing wheels there.
And the 60 is in. Ooh. Nate Stacey in the Ford. Looks like this is going to be a full service. Shea Adam.
Fuel, tires, and a driver change as Nate Stacey has done his job on the 1 hour mark. It's time to share quite evenly with Kyle Marcelli and the team, which has had issues in the past bringing both cars in at the same time, elected to bring in the 59 during the caution. Even though the drive time was short, they didn't do the driver change then. This car is their focus, and all is going according to plan so far. Sticker tires going on to the 60, so Kyle Marcelli will be a very, very happy Canadian. Driver change is complete. The tire change nearly complete. A little bit of a struggle on the right rear, just waiting on the fuel still though, so no time has been lost. Now the car comes off the air jacks and all that's left is that fuel. At Laguna Seca, you want every last drop because even though the last section is downhill, it's uphill to get to the start-finish line, as Pat can tell you.
Yeah, that's a very good point. He's lost half a lap or thereabouts. The leader, Ty Majeski, is just going through the corkscrew now as that green flag pit stop was made. Great piece of battling for the lead, and we talk about racing room being asked for and given. A perfect example of that with those two guys battling through the exit of the Andretti hairpin and then into turn number 3. Pat Long still with us.
Well, just very quickly, just let me just say that the 73 car, it's Matt Pombo, isn't he? He's leading in ST, but a big battle heading up the hill now between number 21 and number 81. Devin Jones is caught right up with the 21 body motion car of Max Faulkner.
And Tom O'Gorman's fight to keep the new tired Audis behind him, the Compass cars, has come to an end. because Kuno Whitmer has got through, Tom Long has got through, and Tom O'Gorman, who stayed out, our pole sitter, remember, he's not yet been along the pit lane. And so that number 12 car now down into third position, and Stephen Simpson will be setting his sight on the back of that car, and we're expecting the 15 car in. That's our leading grey Ford, the Multimatic car, at the end of this lap. He's at turn 5 at the moment, so let's get a quick word with Pat before that happens. Pat, some of the highlights of Rennsport in a couple of weeks' time. Come on, you don't have to give me any top secrets, but tell me about some of the cars that are going to be here and some of the categories that we're going to see on track.
Well, the usual suspects, 917s, 962s, 718 RS Spiders. But the 919 will make its debut to Laguna Seca. Modern racing fans will be happy to see that on its farewell tour. It's obviously been setting world records all around from Spa to the Nürburgring Nordschleife, so it'll be great to have it here at Laguna Seca.
I saw it at Brands Hatch last weekend with Nick Tandy. He checked the data for me, 192 miles an hour turning into paddock on the short circuit, so not even the long run into Clark Curve.
Yeah, it goes to show just how quickly these cars accelerate. You know, fuel and electricity, it's so linear. The car makes so much downforce that he's probably able to put the power on there coming out the final corner, and yeah, that was an impressive time. I can't wait to see what it'll do on the front straightaway here.
Don't go away. We've got pit callers here. It looked like Ty Majeski stayed out there, Shea, but you've got second, third and fifth coming in. Macquarie, McCumbee and James Clare all in the lane.
Macquarie is in and out of the Audi as they're giving Jess Westphal 4 new Continental tires. It was the pit board for the 8, not the 15, my bad, John. And it is a full service for that Mustang as well. The Multimatic car not yet coming in, but it is Chad McCumbee getting out and Pat Gallagher getting in. And for the 82 BMW, it is also full service as James Clay has hopped out. Tyler Cook has gotten in, and they also are doing 4 new tires. Nobody taking a chance of running on the tires that they had when they came in. Just waiting on fuel and the left rear tire on the Audi, as the Mustang is still up on its air jacks a bit further up, so I think the Audi should leave ahead of everybody else. Fuel probe's still attached. Got to get every last drop here. You don't want to take a chance of it coughing on the last lap. The BMW is rolling. The Audi is rolling. The Mustang is still a little bit further up the pit lane with the fuel hose attached. Now it comes out. The number 8 leaves ahead of both the Audi and the BMW.
So it wasn't the cleanest of tyre changes on any of those cars. A couple of wheel nuts made their bid for freedom as they were going on, but well recovered. And because the fuel was still going in, it actually did not matter at all, because the deciding factor on how long the pit stop is getting that fuel in. So you take your time doing that pit stop and make sure that you get the tyres and wheels on properly. Battling further down the field, the Tangerine and white of Eric Voss has just been passed by Kyle Marcelli, and that is down in the 20s, is it? No, 19th and 20th, but they're battling for 12th and 13th. All the TCR cars are at the sharp end of the field, and the leaders are side by side through the final corner, 77 and 74, absolutely together. Whitmer and Long. It looks like Long down the inside just has the advantage, but Whitmer comes down the outside. He'll be scored as the leader in TCR and second position overall. This is going to be the last of the late breakers down into the hairpin, and on the inside, Tom Long has the line, holds it, just cuts it back. Nice little block pass there. Just got the car slowed down in the middle of the corner, as right in behind them, the Porsche is making its way back through the field. The Cayman goes down the inside, and he doesn't really want to be involved in this, does he? Oh my goodness me, that could have been nasty going through turn 4 right in front of us, and that's cost an inordinate amount of time for Kuno Whitmer. And Tom Long now with 10 cars advantage over the car that he came out the final corner, side by side. Intense battling in TCR, and a little mistake by Kuno Whitmer. That's going to cost him some time. And here comes Stephen Simpson in third position in the red, white and blue Audi. My goodness, this TCR battle, which is now second, third and fourth overall, and about to be for the lead, as in comes Ty Majeski. Majeski is into the pits with 52 minutes to go. Shea, Adam.
And it's always a good thing when you're bringing in a Mustang from the lead and handing it over to Scott Maxwell. It will be 4 new tires for Scott and a load of fuel. Interesting, we just had our first gamble on a pit stop, John. The Bolt Racing Mustang, 2 tires, right side only, as they gave Trent Hinman new tires and a little bit more fuel to try and make it closer to the end of the race. The driver change change going on. Ty Majeski out and Maxwell is in, and they are changing the right side tires first on the Mustang. We also had the number 12, the TCR pole sitter, come in. Kenton Cook has taken over from Tom O'Gorman, and he is on the freshest of all the TCR tires. So we'll have to see what sort of ground he can try and make up. But that compass battle is so intense between the two teammates. Every time they come out of the final turn and onto the front straight, they're side by side. Pit stop still going on for the 15 as they now pull the air jack out. Fuel hose still attached. Now that comes out as well. And Scott Maxwell does a nice burnout to get some heat into his Continentals.
Yeah, it's cost a lot of time for the pole sitting Europarts.com TCR car, dropped all the way down to 23rd position and last in TCR. First, second and third, take a picture of this on the timing screen. Tom Long in the 77 TCR leads at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. These TCR cars, Pat Long, look a heck of a lot of fun, don't they?
They do, and they're getting incredible fuel mileage here. But yeah, their consistency over a long run and the close battling, it's amazing how close. I forget, you know, in this category, it's been since 2006 that I've competed full time, but I forget in all of these classes how close they can follow one another. It's awesome racing.
And that's because of the relative lack of requirements to, in terms of handling, to run with aero. You're not so aero dependent.
Correct, yeah, with less flicks, strakes, smaller splitters, it allows them to get up near each other, and it's great battling. This is door-to-door stuff at its finest.
We'll get these GS cars coming back to the front three any second now, but of course they're not obliged to give way to these cars because they are battling for overall positions. But the GT cars, the GS cars rather, should be able to blast past on the straight, and that's what's happening to Steven Simpson as first. Brett Sandberg and then Dylan McAvan will go through. And Steven now just needs to keep his wits about him. He's been in that car from the start of the... no, he hasn't, of course. He's taken over from Michael. Excuse me. Steven Simpson just needs to keep his wits about him and let these GS cars go without losing too much time, without getting offline and getting the tyres dirty. It's exactly what he's doing at the moment. Tom Long has pulled out 2 seconds on Kuno Whitmer. Brett Sandberg will cycle back to the front of the field. Hugh Plum in 6th in GS. So not such a bad pit cycle for our championship leaders with still 49 minutes to go. Pat Long from Wright Motorsports with us. Talking about Rennsport, got to have a quick word though about your Luftgekühlt at Bicester a couple of weeks ago. I did tell you that the moment that you landed it would start raining. We hadn't had any rain in the UK for about 12 weeks, and from the very moment you landed to the moment you left, it poured down.
Yeah, I mean, anytime I'm heading to the UK, I plan for rain, and if you get sun, then it's a fortunate situation. But no, I've heard you guys had an amazing summer with record-breaking temperatures, and sure enough, we roll into town for a static car display of all different generations of air-cooled Porsches, and it chucked it down. But we still had a great time. The Brits aren't fazed by the wet, and it was a great day. It was awesome to have you there.
It was the photography was superb in the wet. There was a certain irony that in a celebration of air and oil-cooled cars, we had more water than if we'd had a whole display of water-cooled Porsches, quite honestly. Rennsport, 70th anniversary then. We've talked about the awesomeness of technology. We're looking to the future as well as to the past then with that 919 hybrid Evo. What else are we going to see? Because Porsche's not just about the cars, it's about the personalities as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll have 50 legendary drivers, 12 factory drivers. Almost everybody who's not in race trim that weekend will be coming into town. A lot of us are going to take the wheel. I think in Group 3, there's 3 of us, Mark Lieb, Richard Leitz, myself. I'm going to jump into the 935 in Group 4, Bob Aiken's Coca-Cola car. A 935 is a wild car.
People, you know, I used to like you.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially strapping about 1,000 horsepower to a wheelbarrow and holding on. So it's going to be a lot of action. We'll have 1,300 cars in display, and then the race groups will run all day, 4 days in a row. So we're looking forward to it, September 27th to the 30th.
Oh, we've got a car that stopped on the run up the hill from turn 6, and I think
it's number 18 car.
Ah, right. I was just about to say, is that Dylan? But it's not. You're right. Jan Halen back in the championship. I've been asking if I should bring my helmet, and somebody rather rudely suggested only if you want to have a go at the tractor race. And I raised my eyebrow, but there actually is going to be Porsche tractors here.
That's right. The release went out this week, and one race on Saturday, one race on Sunday, a Le Mans start. cross the straightaway, jump into your tractor, start it up, which sometimes takes a couple of minutes. So getting those things to fire off is going to be key to the race. And then a race all the way around down Andretti, hairpin, and around to turn 5. So it should be pretty wild.
I love the idea of that. Looking forward to it, Pat?
I am. I've been tuning up my Porsche tractor. I have a 1-cylinder junior, so it's not going to win in straight line speed, but we expect to be winning back some time in the handling.
I can't believe you are even being competitive when we're talking about Porsche tractors. That is just the essence of Mr. Long.
The competitiveness is actually for the dress-up. You have to have the proper attire for a late 50s tractor era race, so that will be the bonus points.
Back to this weekend, out with Christina tomorrow. How's it been going?
Yeah, not bad. We qualified 4th. We were quickest this morning, so we were pretty confident going into qualifying, but a few cars found some speed miraculously, and yeah, I think it's going to be about tire attrition and wear tomorrow, so we're going to try to have a good strategy up our sleeve and be there. It's been competitive the last couple races. We've had a 2nd and a 1st in the last 2. So we're confident, and we like this track. Everybody's talking about it. You see it in the race here today. You want to stay online with multiple class racing. It's not that these classes are holding one another up. It's just they're really trying to wait till the straights to let a car by, because there's a film, a little bit of sand and grit and pickup that kind of lines your tire, and it takes a couple laps to clean it off. So that's why you're seeing these guys fight so hard here.
Bit of a different feel for you this weekend, having the family at the track?
Oh, always, yeah, but it's fun. My family knows the drill, so they're off in Carmel having fun today, and they'll come for the start of the race tomorrow, and then we'll get back to business.
Pat, thanks for joining us. I'll see you in a couple of weeks here. Kyle Marcelli off the circuit. Yes, it is. That's a championship contender.
It is a championship contender, and he was looking in reasonably good shape. I tell the guy who's looking in very good shape, I think, at the moment, is car number 7, Trent Hinman. He's running in the where is he? 11th position overall, but moving up, he. I'm pretty sure has made his last bit. So he came in with about 53 minutes remaining in this race. Some of those other guys, particularly number 60 car, we've seen Kyle Marcelli get amazing fuel consumption earlier this season, and he was the first guy to come onto pit lane on this sequence of stops with 58 minutes ago. I think that was really stretching it in a Mustang, but he's now, with that mistake on being off the road, going to cost him a lot of ground.
Yeah, he was carving his way back through the field. Just a quick final thought on Rennsport. By the way, we will have some special programming from here at the Raceway in the Rennsport week, and something very interesting that we're doing in the week between Rennsport and Motul Petit Le Mans. Got a little bit of a cross-country drive planned. We lost Burt Reynolds this week, so it's a bit of a reverse cannonball run that we'll be doing. Eastbound and down will be on the stereo on repeat, as without going over the speed limit at any stage whatsoever. There will be a trip from here at Laguna Seca right across to Atlanta, and you'll be able to follow that on IMSA Radio and the RSL network of channels. Really looking forward to that, and we've got quite a special Porsche to do that, and some little Porsche stops on the way that I am very much looking forward to. Thanks to Pat Long for talking to us. He's standing enjoying the racing now. Thanks, mate. Have a good one. Huge group of cars coming together, all 3 of the classes in one shot, as the number 71 of Robin Liddell now trying to make positions. The car ahead is not for position, I don't think. That's the 18 car that we saw with problems earlier on for Jan Halen. Yeah, that's right. So Robin Liddell is under pressure himself now, though, as Hugh Plum, championship leader, dives down the inside of 5 and does make that happen. And right in there as well, Chris Wilson in the automatic racing Aston, 3 wide under the bridge as they head towards turn 6. Extraordinary. Hugh Plum was in the middle and almost lost 2 places there. Our camera car, Tom Long, the leader in TCR, was 4th at the start of this lap. He's dropped a couple back. Hugh Plum might have seen the championship flash before his eyes there, with cars either side of him for a moment, and rather sensibly made sure everybody had room. Got a bit of a target on you, Jeremy, haven't you, when you're the championship leader, because everybody who comes up to pass you will think, well, he's the championship leader, he's not going to fight that hard, is he?
Yeah, well, that's a good point, isn't it? So he's he's working his way up, nicely now. He's in pretty good shape in that car number 46, but I'm pretty sure he's going to have to make another pit stop at some stage, isn't he? Most of these leaders are going to have to make a pit stop. I think the first car that can get to the end here at the moment is car number 7 in the, well, apart from TCR cars, is Trent Hinman. And Trent catching the leaders in TCR, the 2 Compass Racing cars, pretty quickly at the moment in car number 7.
The drop-off on the lap times for the TCR is not as significant as for the GS cars.
Guys,
and
really
if they can go to the end from here, and everyone around them has to make another pit stop, it's not beyond the bounds of possibility. We could have a TCR car at the very sharp end of the timing screen in 41 minutes' time.
Very true.
McEvan, Sandberg, Christian Hohenadel in the 57 Mercedes. That's the Winward Racing car he shares with Bryce Ward. That's Russell's dad. Already had a couple of good results this season, and they are in very good position indeed. Hohenadel, who cut his teeth in European single-seaters, Formula BMW, I remember him, and in a number of British national championships, has made a name for himself in GT racing, and doing a very good job here. A problem for Ford Mustang number 59, and that car was running high up. He's been off the road at turn 6 as well, hasn't he?
Huh. Both of the Roush Performance Core Motorsports engines off in the same place.
Yeah, and that's Jack Roush Jr., 10th in GS, 14th in the race. These TCR cars mixed among them is giving our timing screen a little bit of a workout here. Second and third, Sandberg and Hohenadel almost together. Dylan McEvan just in the Porsche, breaking away from this battle for second position. The white Mustang and the grey, dark grey and fluorescent orange, the 57 car, sitting right in the wheel tracks as they go up the hill one more time. 45 laps completed, but more importantly, still 40 to go.
Super dice. Number 99, Chris Wilson's absolutely flying in that number 99 Aston Martin, up into 5th position now. It might be 4th, I think. He might have found a way past Gregory Leofouge in car number 19, the Stephen Cameron Racing BMW.
Confirmed from the team that Hohenadel will have to stop again. He's pressuring at the moment Brett Sandberg in the mostly white Ford Mustang, coming down at the final corner. The Muskoka tapped water livery on that Brett Sandberg Mustang, which has been sampled by the one person in our team who can claim for at least part of the year to be a Muskoka resident, and Shea Adam pronounced it more than adequate in terms of its refreshment value. Something that was new on all of us. So McEvan by 1.5 seconds now. In the classes, Tom Long has eased away just a little bit from Kuno Whitner in the 74 Audi in second, 77 Audi from 74, from 54 Stephen Simpson, and then 9 seconds back to Pierre Kleineming. But Simpson now pressuring Kuno Whitmer for second place in TCR. In ST, it's the 73 Mini, Matt Pombo behind the wheel. Then it's the 81 BMW in second place, and they are absolutely together on the circuit. Not even a car's width length between them. And then it's Max Faulkner now in the Porsche, taking over from Jason Rabe. That's the number 21 car, but he's 9 seconds further back. Our leader overall, 37 minutes to go in the IMSA Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge. Dylan McEvan in the 28 Porsche Cayman. And he's got a little bit of cover with a lapped TCR car. That's the 61, the Morley car.
Yep. All of these first 7 cars will have to make another pit stop.
Correct.
And the next man on the radio, that is Trent Hinman in car number 7. Already had a victory this season with Anna Brynjolfsson. And in second place, effectively, given the other guys have to make a pit stop, is number 77 Audi. He's just been overtaken by Scott Maxwell, who's effectively now second in GS. Third in GS is Eric Foss in car number 56. Then Jeff Westphal, who's also charging along that, and that was number 39 Audi. And the question then is going to be, when these leaders make their pit stops and where do they come out?
Tyler McQuarrie, the 39 Audi looked like quite a handful when you were out there on the old tires and everybody else had stickers, but it's probably a familiar feeling to you to have a little bit less grip than the others around. Were you okay out there in the Audi?
Yeah, after we went back green, there was so much pickup on the Continental tires. It was just crazy, and it took a few laps for it to go away. To make it even worse, a lot of people behind me had new Continentals, so I was just trying to hold on. We had to get to an hour. We did our driver change. Jeff's out there. The Carbon Autosport Audi is awesome right now, so we're looking pretty good. They've done a great job to get the car working really well and efficiently around here, so fingers crossed. Jeff's out there catching up on people, so it's good. Should be good.
And you guys are good to go to the end, right?
Yeah, we should be good to the end. Yeah.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, well, they were in on lap number what?
Who? The number 39 car. They came in after 36 laps. Yeah, they came in one lap before the number 7 and the number 12 cars with about 54 minutes remaining in this race. It's going to be tight. No question about it.
If it goes green, certainly is, yeah. What you've got to decide now is when do you jump?
I think it's a battle. Is that the battle for ST heading towards turn 5? Yes, it is, with the number 73 car of Matt Pombo coming under increasing pressure from Devin Jones and the BMW car number 81. That's a great battle that's going on.
I didn't think that you'd get any closer than they were the last lap around, but in fact they were this time. You couldn't get the width of an exercise book between them as they went through. It was a tenth of a second at the line, and they're in 27th and 28th position overall. Still more than half an hour to go here. Scott Maxwell certainly good to the end of the race. 4 seconds behind Trent Hinman. Now if you need someone to do a bit of fuel saving, Scott Maxwell's your man. I don't think it'll take much fuel saving for those guys who stopped on 37 and 38.
Oh, I think it will.
Do you think?
Yeah, 54 minutes. It's yeah. It's not an absolute given, I think, at that point.
Right. Okay. Trent Hinman has won a fuel-saving race this year.
Yep.
So he can put the very soft shoe shuffle on the right-hand pedal. 73 Mini under pressure from the BMW for the lead of the ST race. They've just gone through the Andretti hairpin and working their way back through the number 92. This is the delayed AMG GT4 at IMSA Radio. Last half an hour or a little more into the pit lane. First to jump, the Chris Wilson number 99 Automatic Racing Aston Martin. And Shea Adam is watching fuel, tyres. Was that a driver as well?
It was. So Chris Wilson is out, and that would be Rob Atkin Jr. getting in? No. Who's driving the car this weekend with him?
How long has he been in that car? That's my question. He must have stopped before now. It's Gary Ferreira who's
who started that car.
Ah, right. So he didn't get his time in. But by how much? There's still half an hour to go. So Chris Wilson hasn't been in that car 45 minutes. I'm very confused.
Yeah, I think he has. Yeah, he came in. They came in and made their driver change at 45 minutes, and we're now 32 minutes remaining. So yeah, he probably has just done his 45 minutes.
Right, I stand corrected, and I am standing, and I will be corrected.
You will remain standing.
I will remain standing and remain corrected. ST cars once again down into the Andretti hairpin, the big stopping area at the end of that long front straight, curving front straightaway. The purple distinctive colours this weekend of the 81 Bimmer World BMW all season. Nick Galante has been talking about this very important charity fundraising.
Yes, we've got the battle for ST and GS there, John, all together, quite literally at turn 5.
Yeah, 4 cars, 2 classes, top 2 in each. As Masheven and Hohenadel is driving very well indeed and has closed that gap pretty quickly. And pulls out the driver's list heading up the hill as they're coming to the braking area for.
All of a sudden, Scott Maxwell is right with Trent Hinman.
Yeah.
Not quite sure how that's happened. There was an appreciable gap between them.
4 seconds the last time I looked, and that was only a couple of 3 laps ago, Jeremy.
Yes, I think a bit of traffic there for Trent, and he's bottled up behind the number 19 and number 71, Gregory Learfuger, and Robin Liddell having a super battle there. That's for 5th and 6th place overall. They still need another pit stop, so that battle now between Trent Hinman and Scott Maxwell effectively is for the lead.
Yes. How far are they back? They're less than 16 seconds away from the leader, so no way that anyone can get in and out. Big weekend of motorsport on the Radio Show Limited network of channels. We've got another Lamborghini race tomorrow from here just outside Monterey, and also of course the WeatherTech Championship. You can listen to that on Sirius 138 XM202 on the IMSA radio channel RS2 on the player at radiolemans.com, and you can watch it as well of course on IMSA.com, IMSA TV and the IMSA app if you're outside the US, without any breaks or interruptions, with the trackside commentary from us here at IMSA Radio. If you're in the US, it will be Brian Till who takes through the action on the Fox Sport Network. Brian and the booth team up in Charlotte, but with the reporters on the ground making sure that you don't miss any of the action if you're here in the US. That's tomorrow. Check local schedules for details.
So Trent Hinman has just worked his way past all that pack, and he still has Scott Maxwell in pursuit, but he's now up into 5th place overall. He got past the 71 and the number 19 car, which changed position themselves on that lap, so somewhere there's a fair bit of shuffling going on.
The battle for the lead is what is taking our attention at the moment, as the RS1, the distinctive colours of RS1, the black, red, white and silver, and the Porsche Cayman just maybe punching out of the corner and getting a little bit hooked up a little bit quicker than the Mercedes of Christian Hohenadel. 57 car running in the Sonic colours, a black, bright fluorescent red and silver, giving an absolute picture this weekend. The ST battle hasn't slowed down at all. It's still BMW versus BMW Mini. Advantage to the Mini at the moment. That number 73 car of Matt Pombo coming under increasing pressure down into turn 4, side by side. Will they touch here? It must have been very close indeed as they went past us. Oh, there was a little love tap, I think, there as they head towards turn 5. So close. Fabulous driving from both. That Mini still seems to be handling very well indeed, Jeremy, because your man Pombo there is able to place that car at pretty much where he wants. Very impressive.
Very impressive indeed, but he's got still a fair way to go in this race, 27 minutes remaining, so he's got to make sure he looks after those tyres on the front of that Mini.
Tom
the
Long.
BMW is certainly a little bit easier on its tyres.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
JCW.
Tom Long is leading TCR and has now just dropped out of the top 10 for the first time in a long time. Remember, we did have TCR cars leading after the pit stop cycle. It's Steven Simpson in second now, with Kuno Whitmer in third. So that's 77 Audi from 54 Audi from 74 Audi. Hugh Plum, by the way, driving a lonely race at the moment in third position.
Well, he's just got past Brett Sandberg on the last lap, and yes, he's already pulled away from him a little bit as Hugh Plum. But all these guys need to make a pit stop, and they're going to drop quite a long way down the order, I think.
Yeah, no way you can do more than an hour, and those guys were in with well more than an hour. And we did have a bit of yellow to help them, but not enough.
I don't think so. I'm pretty shocked.
And if you're Hugh Plum, you can't risk it, because what you can't risk doing is dropping to the back of the field and only picking up a point or two.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the 46 Mercedes here, which is leading the championship. Robin Liddell is carving his way through in the very, very attractive white and two-tone green Camaro, with some damage on the left rear of that car. So there's been a bit of contact there, but Robin carrying on regardless. Right, Jeremy, 26 minutes left.
Yeah, and there's also what could be a significant change on that last lap. Number 39 car with Jeff Westphal at the wheel. He just overtaken Eric Foss on this lap here. So on lap 53. That is, I reckon, probably for 1, 2, 3,
ninth position.
Third, well, yes, but probably third place overall. I would
right,
suggest.
yes, I see
with the
what you're
others
saying.
due to still make their pit stops.
Yes, because we know that car is fine. It's that time when Shea's going to be walking up and down the pit lane now and speaking to the teams to find out who thinks they can go to the end, who knows they can go to the end, and who are going, are you kidding? Shea, what do you know?
That's exactly the mission I'm on right now. The 15 Ford feel pretty good. The 8 Ford feels really good. Excuse me. So just duck behind on the pit lane. Coming over to check on our championship leaders, the number 46. So I got to walk a little bit further up to their pit box. I'll let you know when I know.
Fantastic.
Two Fords really, Scott Maxwell were absolutely on the tail of Trent Hinman. They're heading to turn 5. Hinman there having to take a defensive line into that corner.
That's 5th and 6th, the number 7 and 15 Fords. So 15, Scott Maxwell's team, feeling pretty good about the next 25 minutes is what Shea Adam has just told us in that Continental Tire pit lane report. It's going to come down to the last few laps again, isn't it? You just know it. You just know it. What's the lap times like? Well, 36s, 37s and 38s. Depending on where you are in the top 10 and who's doing the driving. Now this is against best lap times of 33s and 34s at the sharp end of the field, so that will tell you about the tyre wear. Continental make great tyres, but they can't avoid the laws of physics. And on a track with low grip, the car slides around, it takes the rubber off the surface of the tyre. Front of the field, all together now. 28 RS1 Porsche, McEvan, Hohenadel right there, and with them and trying to come back and take one of their laps back is Jan Halen. And Jan's got a good car underneath him. He hit the curb far too hard at turn 4 though. But Jan is sitting down in 18th position and a lap off the leaders, but he's trying to get that lap back. Shea Adam.
Owen Trinkler in the number 46, sharing with Hugh Plum, championship leaders coming into this race. You guys made a second pit stop when the caution came out. Was that to make sure that you guys are good on fuel going to the end?
Well, it's more the drive time, you know, to get me back out of the car under that yellow condition, and that was probably the worst driver change tune I've had all year. So it was my bad there, but we're making it up. We're doing a good job. We're probably a little short on fuel, so we're got our fingers crossed. Car's running great. I was just riding there in 4th place, letting the top 3 just kind of battle it out because I had a good position there. Just, you know, I was closing them down, but I had a good gap on 5th. So the car's really, really good. He's running good lap times right now, which we figured we'd be good on old tires. So we'll just see. I mean, we need a little bit of caution if we get it here. We'll keep our fingers crossed. And say hello to my boys, my family. They're back home watching right now, and I'll see them tomorrow afternoon.
You're going for a championship, man. You can't roll the dice on fuel at Laguna Seca going uphill to the checkered flag. Is there going to come a point where you're going to have to come in and splash if you don't get that yellow?
Yeah, probably so. I mean, I'm letting Joe Vardy and Ed here. They're making the calls, and John Terry. I mean, I'm just listening on the radio what's going on. He's trying to save a little bit right now. and we'll just see. And I've been meaning to give a shout out to where I live, Tupper Place. I got Paul Butts there. He's watching back home. He's giving me a hard time. I always talk about my family, never about him. So I'm sure he's watching right now. He's probably pretty happy about that.
Hey, well, talking about your family's gotten you to the lead of the championship, so good luck the rest of the way.
All right, thank you so much.
A little bit of team tactics too. Number 18 car, you talked about it, trying to get his lap back. Jan Halen, he's just got ahead of Christian Hohenadel on this lap and between himself and Dylan McIvern.
And that is a team car to the leader. Now, Dylan McIvern, if he's helping his teammate, will step aside, let him go through. If he's being helped by his teammate, Jan Halen, he'll just sit on the back bumper of that number 28 car for a wee while. Hugh Plum now only 4 seconds behind the leaders, 4.5 let's call it. Seems like a lap ago he was about 6.5, so he's doing a pretty good job there. Might just be pushing on a little bit. 36.8. 36.8 last time around for Hugh Plum against 37.2, 37.5 for the leaders, 37.8 for Brett Sandberg, 37.6 for Trent Hinman, 37.3 for Scott Maxwell. If that's fuel saving, that's very impressive. Maybe they've just pulled the pin and said to Hugh Plum, get cracking son, see what you can do. We're going to have to splash. We know we're going to have to give up some space. So let's see what you can get out of those tyres.
I think they need a pretty major caution period to get to the end, in which case, well, you know, if it happens the next couple of laps, then maybe somehow he can cruise it home under caution, but I think it's a tall ask.
Say hello to everyone over at McLaren Philadelphia. Not their day today. Both the McLarens with problems, and the Mia car going out whilst it was in the lead and losing a left rear wheel.
And Scott Maxwell has got past Trent Hinman, so that is for 5th and 6th positions at the moment.
But those are the first 2 cars, Jeremy. Those are the cars, should I say, who stopped latest. The first 2 cars that we think realistically have got a chance of going to the end. So that might become very important later.
I think
Robert
so.
Liddell is just behind them. He stopped some 10 laps before them. I don't think the Camaro can go to the end. TCR, Tom Long, 8.6 seconds to the good over Steven Simpson, who's got 6 seconds over Kuno Whitmer. All Audis, 77, 54 and 74. Pierre Kleiner being just a couple of seconds further back and forth in the 75. 3 of those 4 being the Compass cars, of course. Kenton Cook working his way back through the field. Not great tactics, I'm afraid, from the Europarts guys today.
No.
Got caught out on that and dropped a lot of ground with a green flag pit stop. Oh,
yeah.
Was that a little touch there as well from the number 10? That's Lee Carpentier in that, the second of the, actually it's the lead in Europort's car at the moment. Lead is going through, and there might have been a little brush with Christian Hohenadel. Countdown has started, Jeremy. Under 20 minutes now. You can almost smell the finish at this point. And this is where those fuel calculations have gone into overdrive. Still a great battle in ST with Mark Pombo leading. But still, I mean, this has been 15-20 minutes. It's not been half a second at the line between the Mini and the BMW. Extraordinary concentration by both drivers. They're just coming down into turn and through turn 4 now. They've got traffic behind them again and heading up to turn 5. It has been absolutely outstanding.
Yeah. A lot of respect between those 2 squads. Not many cars in ST this season, that's for sure, but the racing has been excellent.
Matchevin and Hohenadel still going at it. There's about 1.5 seconds between them now, and Jan Halen hasn't gone past the leader and got his lap back. He's trying to work out. Halen's down in 18th position. Tom Long with clear track ahead of him, unusually, as he heads down the hill to turn 10, the right-hander. The Audi 2-litre engine singing away in the sunshine. Now down through the gearbox. Wait for the front grip. Gets on the power insanely early there. And meantime, ST leaders across the line together, and this time the BMW is underneath. Gets the position on the inside. Has to cross onto the pit lane side of the track. The Mini tries to go all the way around the outside. If Matt Pombo can do it, oh, that's very close indeed. Evidence of some slight damage to the right-hand rear door of Devon Jones in the BMW. He's now disposed of the Mini and immediately clears off in the Bimmer World BMW, carrying the names of people who have been affected by Alzheimer's disease. It's been a fabulous effort by the whole team under the auspices of Nick Galante, and it's raised a lot of money, which has been doubled by the sponsors of the team, and it's all going to the Alzheimer's Research Race to End, Race 2, number 2, endalz.org.
Significant battle also for third place in TCR. Two more Compass Racing teammates. Kuno Whitman now really under pressure from Pierre Kleinubing, who's come from quite a long way behind and is catching Kuno Whitman, who's had a birthday this week. But I think he's struggling now with tyre wear in the closing stages with just 15 minutes remaining.
And the calculations are going on thick and fast on the pit lane. Down at Volt Racing, Shea Adam has been speaking to team manager and chief strategist down there. What has Mike Johnson told you?
He said they are good on fuel to the end, and all of a sudden Trent Hinman is passing cars ahead of him. He just got around the 80 Mustang. He has been unleashed.
Okay, so that has gone. That's Brett Sandberg, who's gone another position further back. He's only a second away from Scott Maxwell as the leaders are coming down. Oh, there's another little touch. And Christian Hohenadel on the outside of turn 10.
Jan Helen's a lap down here.
Yeah.
That's poor driving from Jan Helen. You know, he's the chief steward, the race steward for the Coubertin USF 2000 Championship powered by Mazda on the Mazda Road to Indy. He would not approve of this with that hat on, but here he is. He's a lap down and he's impeding the second place car. The stewards are going to take a look, of IMSA are going to take a good close look at that one.
Yeah, of course, that's not the leading car. It's the teammate to the leading car, and he's a lap down. And Christian Hohenadel beginning to get frustrated now as the gap has gone out over 1.3 seconds. In fact, it's more than that. It's gone out to 3 seconds. And Hohenadel will not be amused with Jan Helen moving around, coming down the hill. Possibly even a little lift there. You can't be messing about like that on the circuit. And Hugh Plum is closing in on the two leaders. This has been a fabulous, I mean, he's the quickest man on the track, Hugh Plum, and has been for the last few laps. And 136.7 last time around, 136.8 I saw a moment ago. Who was that by? That was Eric Foss. So the Mercedes are coming to life at the end of their tyre run, but surely all these guys have got to stop.
Another car that's running very quickly right now is the number 39 Audi. That's not too far behind as well.
I've got a feeling Jan Helen is going to end up off the circuit here if he's not careful. Yeah.
Yes, it's
57 and 18 under review. And Helen again gets side by side and finally, rather begrudgingly, lets the 57 Sonic supported AMG GT4 go through. But then immediately goes back at it on the inside. He's gone back up the inside, right on the pit wall side.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry.
That's a much lighter car, and he's taken advantage of that. He's going to get well. Hats off there to Hohenadel for not giving him an assist under braking for the Andretti hairpin. He gets the move done again.
There would have been many drivers fighting at the head of the field who might have had a sense of humour failure there and put the old chrome horn in. Next, of course, it's Hugh Plum who's coming through. Now, will Jan Helen be helpful towards the championship leader? Or is he still too busy fighting with the car that is fighting with his teammate for the lead of the race as it stands? 12 minutes to go. Pretty certain none of these top three can get to the end. And Hugh Plum has to be exceedingly clever here and very careful. Hohenadl's used up some tyres though, Jeremy, trying to get by Jan Helen. Saw that car squirming around. We'll give you the result of the review as soon as we get it on our screen. But the stewards deciding to have a look, race control deciding to have a look at that. Good news for Hohenadl, he's got the lead back down to just on 7/10 of a second.
Well, yeah, I mean, the top three are absolutely nose to tail now as they complete lap 63 with just less than 11 minutes remaining.
Oh, in fact, Hohenadl's lost a bit of time that time. Now it goes back out to 1.5. Hugh Plum's in there. Jan Helen is going to go by again. And this is frustrating Hohenadl. Hohenadl is effectively here, Jeremy, having to defend from a car that's a lap down when that car had the opportunity to unlap itself and drive away, and he's not doing that. And he's having to worry about this car behind instead of setting his sights on Dylan McAvan at the head of the field. I understand this is a team game and why you would swap cars around, but is this on the very edge of acceptability in terms of team tactics, Jeremy?
Well, I think it is, yeah. I mean, you know, that's just not the way things are done, generally speaking, in this country. Whether that's right or wrong is open for debate, perhaps. But certainly, he's putting that car in a dangerous position, and he is interfering with the leaders, and it's just not something that's generally done. He knows that. He's been in this country a long time as Jan Helen. Heck of a driver.
Yeah, and Hugh Plum has backed away from that for a little while, and I think rightly so. Under 10 minutes. When are we going to see any movement down in the pit lane? Let's check with Continental Tire pit lane reporter Shea Adam, who's looking like they might have to come in.
The Camaro team for Rebel Rock, the 71, they are standing up on the pit wall. Fuel nozzle is in hand, but they have multiple crew guys, so they might just throw tires at it too.
I think if you're going to put tyres on, you bring them in earlier than this. Only 9 minutes to go. It's only a handful of laps, isn't it? I think if I was going to lose my track position for a splash of fuel, 2 tyres.
I did talk about that battle for third place, by the way, in TCR. Number 75 car has moved past the 74 and is pulling away, so that is not good news for Kuno Whitmer and Rodrigo Salas in terms of their championship aspirations.
Vincent Bruin says Jan Helen surely deserves a penalty. He's a lap down. He was intentionally holding up Hohenadl so that he couldn't catch his teammate and leader of the race. I see that as poor driving. At IMSA Radio, let's have your thoughts on that.
Certainly no respect for the overall race leaders, that's for sure.
No. You know, Jeremy, motor racing, a lot of motor racing eventually comes down to respect, and what you give is what you get sometimes.
Yeah. And that's exactly what Jan Helen demands of his drivers in USF 2000. I can tell you that. He's put out a lot of penalties over the last few weeks on the Master Road to Indy. So reap what you sow. But the other guy I talked about a little while ago, Jeff Westphal, is absolutely flying in that number 39 Audi. He's made up another position on that last lap. He's right with Robin Liddell. I'm not sure whether he's got past him yet or not, but if he hasn't, he's closing in very rapidly.
Oh, down the inside again. Is that Halen? Yes, it is. And it's Halen on the championship leader, having a go at the championship leader into the final corner. This is extraordinary stuff.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It wasn't the championship leader. My apologies. It was again Hohenadl, and Hohenadl has let him go through. Hohenadl lifted off on the entrance to the Andretti hairpin and has let Jan Helen go through. Basically, so he doesn't have to worry about him behind. Into the pit lane for fuel only comes Robin Liddell. About 8 seconds now. 10 seconds of fuel, or thereabouts. And the Rebel Rock Racing number 71 Chevy Camaro is back into the fight. Won't hold on to the top 10 position it had. Shea Adam is watching other pit crews coming to life in the last 7 minutes.
19 Stephen Cameron BMW crew guys have the fuel nozzle in hand, as do the 80 crew, the MBRP crew for Martin Barkey and Brett Sandberg. That Mustang will be coming in here shortly.
How long can McEvan, and Christian Hohenadel go? McEvan and Hohenadel 1.2 seconds apart, but separated by another Porsche. And Jan Heelen's got the wiggle on now, actually. He's pulled away a little bit from the Mercedes behind him and Hohenadel. I think Hohenadel's just decided not to bother, and he's not going to try and chase down the RS1 Porsche. I think Hohenadel's going to go to the end, or he's going to try and go to the end. We could have another one of these races, Jeremy, where 3 or 4 cars run out of fuel on the last lap or so. This is extraordinary stuff. Extraordinary stuff. And Scott Maxwell and Trent Hinman, the 2 cars who we think are the most sure in that top group to go, are lapping now about 1.5 seconds to 1.8 seconds faster than the cars ahead of them. Even Hugh Plum has heaved off into the pit lane. Gregory Lefuga in the BMW number 19. This looks like a splash of fuel as well, Shea.
It is just a very quick splash. The fuel nozzle's been in for 4 seconds. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I would have expected them to pull it out at 10. There we go. Now it comes back out, and the BMW leaves the pit lane. The other intriguing thing to remember, John, is what I talked about with Owen. You're in a championship fight. When do you give it up and come in so that you get points? Well, the 28, the RS1 Porsche that's leading right now, they are in the top 3 of the championship as well. When are they going to decide that points are more valuable than the win?
Well, Jan Heelen is now cleared off from the Mercedes. He's sitting right in behind his teammate, but the Mercedes begins to close in again now. Now, are we going to see fun and games again here? 4.5 minutes to go. Hugh Plum's right there. Top 3 separated by 2 seconds. And then Scott Maxwell right there. Scott Maxwell with fuel to burn, it would seem, at the moment. And the top 4 are within 3 seconds. But there is an interloper. There is a potential joker in the pack. Although I'm sure that's not what Christian Hohenadel will be calling Jan Heelen after this race. Still no decision from the stewards.
No, just to let it go.
Well, they'll be watching very closely here. Jan Heelen needs to get past his teammate and get back on the lead lap and disappear, or drop behind this battle. He shouldn't be in there, I'm afraid. I understand the team game, but I don't like this, Jeremy. It doesn't sit well with me at all.
I don't either. Really good run from number 99, Aston Martin. It's still saying it's Chris Wilson at the wheel of that car, so I'm going to presume it is.
Well, they've done 2 pit stops in that car, lasting some 16, 17 laps ago.
Can those leaders really make that fuel last?
Well, it's extraordinary if they can, Jeremy. They're going to try, aren't they, with 3 minutes to go. And Scott Maxwell's still the man for me, most likely. He's got younger tyres by probably 10 laps on most of the guys around him. Trent Hinman hasn't been able to go with him, even though he was released some, 10 minutes ago. It was 15 minutes to go, so that's 13 minutes ago he was released. He hasn't been able to make that happen, and here comes Maxwell to the right-hand side across the start-finish line. Got traffic ahead of him. It's Stephen Simpson in the 54 TCR car. Has to drive back to the inside, to the left-hand side. And now the battle is on with 2 Mercedes AMG GT4s. Oh, there's a tap from Hugh Plum on Hohenadel, and here comes Scott Maxwell. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Maxwell down the inside of the championship leader. Doesn't get it done at 3. They're in our sight now. Dylan is trying to get a little bit of a gap here. All kinds of traffic. Oh, my goodness me. I can't believe that Scott Maxwell's gone for that gap. He hits the Mini and turns him around, and the Mini is taken out. Scott Maxwell went for a gap that was closing.
Well, yeah.
Oh, dear me.
He did, but the Mini really should have probably paid more attention there, I think. He's nothing like the same sort of speed. He should have been right out of the way. He was trying to get over to the right-hand side of the racetrack, but the Mustang was already making that move.
That was Matt Pombo in the 73 Mini, and the only reason he didn't hit the wall there is because it was a front-wheel drive car, and he nailed the throttle and probably closed his eyes and prayed a bit. Scott Maxwell going for that gap. He knows he's got a car that can go.
It's going to be white flag this time around.
I think these guys are going to the end. This is huge news, Jeremy.
Incredible.
Huge news. And what a result for the championship. For the RS1 team, they're still in the championship fight, and they could still win this, or they could end up fourth. Or not finish. Is the white flag out this time? It is. 73 and 46. I don't think it was the 46 that did that. I'm pretty certain it was Scott Maxwell. Down the outside, Hugh Plum has a look for second place on Owen Ardle. Can't get it done on the outside of the hairpin. Indeed, that has been no action, the Mini and Scott Maxwell. That's just been corrected on the screen. So here comes Scott Maxwell, out of fuel. The 57, Owen Ardle's out of fuel. He's struggling past us. He's out of fuel. There we go. Half a lap to go. And it's disaster for Winwood. 1 lap short. 1 lap short. And Plum goes through to second. Maxwell through to third. Now who has got the... He stopped on the same lap as the first and second place cars. Scott Maxwell's the man who stopped latest, 10 laps later. Jan Halen might have to push his teammate home yet.
And the Jeff Wessel, by the way, just overtaken Trent Hinman on this lap for, well, who knows what position. I'm astonished that these guys have been able to make it to the end from there.
Coming into the last couple of corners, Jan Halen, the leader's out! The leader's out of fuel! And through goes Plum! Was that Makovic slowing down? It was! The Porsche's out of fuel, and now Jan Helen's in the mix for first and second. And I tell you what, Scott Maxwell won't have him there. If he thinks he can make for the line, he'll be in the wall. Plum goes by. He's going to win it. He's going to win it. Doesn't matter what Halen does now. And what a run. What a run for Hugh Plum, who goes through. And it's another victory for the championship leaders. Owen Trinkler goes absolutely berserk. It's disaster on the other side of the story, with 2 cars running out of fuel on the last lap. Extraordinary stuff. Maxwell comes through to second. Jeff Westphal for the Audi team, number 39. Here comes the 57 of Owen Ardle. He's just about going to get the line. I'm not sure he's even going to finish in the top 10.
No, I don't think he is going to get to the line. He's uphill from here. I don't think he's got enough momentum to get there. I'm absolutely astounded that Hugh Plum has managed to go 1 hour and 15 minutes under green. Okay, he was managing a tyre, so he wasn't pushing flat out all the way, but incredible to me that he could get that far on that tank of fuel. A brilliant win by that team. I mean, Joe Vardy, he is the master of strategy, no question about
Joe
that.
we trust.
A great run also by Scott Maxwell, and hats off also to Jeff Westphal and Tyler McQuarrie for coming home in 3rd place for Peregrine Racing and Carbine Autosport, that first season team.
So we have got to get down and get some reaction here. Let's go to TCR first of all. Tom Long wins the race. Britt Casey Jr. is on the wall with Shea.
Well, I wanted to start with Britt Casey Jr. because there have been a couple races this year where fuel has let you down. Today, it rewarded you guys. A win, it means you're back in the championship hunt. Congratulations. How does it feel?
Yeah, thank you. It feels, yeah, we needed this one. Our last win was at Mosport, or Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, so it's been a little bit since then. It feels really good to be on the top step. We really needed this result. So, yeah, 1 race to go. We'll see how we can take it into Atlanta.
Bring it to Road Atlanta.
Thank you.
Spencer Pumpelly has had no luck with fuel. He's got it across the line, so
He
the
has.
28 car has finished in 7th. Dylan McAvan has done a great job. Spencer Pumpelly had the same. Remember when he's driving for Flying Lizards? Bubba Clark's just reminded me in my ear, in Flying Lizards he was leading and he couldn't get it across the line and finished 6th. It's 7th position, but Hohenadel is not across the line. But Hugh Plum is. I'm not sure he's going to get the car back, but Owen Trinkler doesn't give any problems for that because they've taken another victory and their championship lead is extended.
This is ideal for Owen Trinkler and Hugh Plum, and we didn't know it was going to happen until about turn 9 when you look back and you see the Porsche running out of fuel. Your emotions right now?
Oh, I mean, I'm just like, I can't believe it. I mean, somebody wake us up from the year we're having. I'm so thankful for Ted Giovannis, the opportunity he gives everybody here at TGM. And Hugh and I mean, we're just doing everything we're supposed to do, and things are just falling right. I mean, some years you have it like this, and some years you have it the other way. And I can't believe it. I mean, the guys just called a great strategy today. We stumbled a little bit on our driver change, but that was the one mistake we made all day. And these guys are just so awesome. We came jumping off the wall and saw that. I'm in shock a little bit.
How close was it on fuel? I mean, is he going to be able to drive back to the podium?
It was close. Thanks, Joe. I don't know. I ripped my radio off. We were jumping up and down, like crazy here when I saw the 28 car, from our pit box. We could see it from turn 9. It run out, and I was just going nuts. I mean, this is unreal. Thanks, everybody at Mercedes-Benz AMG and Ted Giovannis and TGM and the foundations that we support. And it's just, what a great day.
Unofficially, we think this clinches you the championship, so congrats.
We'll get confirmation from that, but that would be really cool to go to Atlanta this way and just celebrate.
Very, very deserving championship. A big move for Owen Trinkler at the end of last season, breaking a partnership that he'd had for a very long time with Sarah Cattaneo and the Cattaneo Racing family. Hugh Plum shaking his head, and Dylan McAvan has got the car home, the 28 car, but only in 7th position. Jeremy, you've been doing the arithmetic.
Well, I have, yes, and with the win today, Hugh Plum and Owen Trinkler have 261 points, finishing in 10th place. Kyle Marcelli and Nate Stacey, that'll add 21 points to their total. That'd be 230. That's a 31-point lead. You get 35 to win the race, 32 for second place. So unless there's another handful of cars turn up at Road Atlanta for the series finale, they don't even need to start the race, and they will be champions. So a remarkable effort and just incredible end to the season, and tremendous consistency all the way through. But once again, Joe Vardy, goodness gracious me, fantastic. I can't believe it even went for that, quite honestly. Well, but then half a dozen other guys did as well. So how they were able to make that fuel last an hour and 15 minutes, I've absolutely no idea.
Well, and Hugh Plum wasn't hanging about. We said if that's fuel,
he was doing consistent 37s and 38s. In the early part of the race, they were doing, well, right at the beginning, they were doing 33s, but then towards the end of the set, they were doing 36s. So he cut his pace by a couple of seconds a lap. It's very impressive.
Oh my!
And that's experience for you. I mean, Hugh Plum and Owen Trinkler, they are two of the most experienced drivers on the field. Combined total of 272 starts coming into this weekend. This will be the 9th win for Hugh Plum, the 12th for Owen Trinkler, and quite possibly the sweetest of all.
Well, we said that you'll have to watch this till the end of the race, and just unbelievable. Let's go down into ST, and Shea Adam has the winners.
Nick Gallant, we'll try to keep this quick. Galante, sorry. I knew I was going to do that. Artichokes was the key today. You got all the names on the car. You got everything meaningful. Pole position to a win. Perfect way to go in for the championship.
Yeah, first win here at our home track, and first win here with all the names on the car here at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. What a great thing to have the Racing to End Alzheimer's on board. My grandmother's on board, my aunt's on board, everybody from around the world is on board with this car, and so we're all winners today. And we raised some serious money and some serious awareness for this great cause. And Devin Too Fast Jones here did a great finish. My wife's here, it's great to see. She hasn't been feeling well, and it's just this is just wonderful. So hats off to everybody, and especially the home crowd here.
Congrats to the whole team.
Shea just stepping aside there so our TV colleagues can get their interview as well. I am well, you know what? I was going to say I'm astounded. I'm not, because we've come to expect this from the Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge, and the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca 120 delivered in spades. It is our keys to the race, Jeremy. I jotted them down. Pick your battles. Well, we saw that. Execute your pit stops. Some did, some didn't. No penalties. See above. And the tyres. Well, fuel. We thought it was going to be tyres that dictated the race. To a certain extent it was, but people, perhaps mindful, Jeremy, of not working the tyres, were using less throttle and therefore getting way better mileage than they'd anticipated.
Yeah, absolutely
It's
right.
the only thing I can think of.
Exactly right. But to basically eke out, 20% better fuel mileage than anybody else is
extraordinary.
Yeah, very.
Just over 2 hours, 2 hours and 40 seconds on the race time is when Hugh Plum crossed the line, and we believe has clinched the championship for 2018. There'll be big celebrations in Atlanta. The other championships, Jeremy, just quickly a bit of arithmetic there.
This will not quite clinch it, I think, for Nick Galante and David Jones. Actually, it might. Where did they finish compared to the Pombo and Lamara? So I wasn't paying attention to that in the closing stage. It's on the other page of the thing. But in TCR, though, that very convincing win for Tom Long and Britt Casey Jr., that will take them into from a 4-point deficit into a 5-point lead over their teammates Rodrigo Salas and Kuna Whitmer, who slipped back a couple of places in the closing stages. Really good run there for Kenton Cook, by the way, in the closing laps. He managed to pass both of the two Compass Racing cars and get himself
on the podium
in third position.
Made up about a minute then, because their strategy didn't work for them today. Which of the ST cars did you want to know which finished? Which number? 73?
73 car was second. Okay, fine. So
that probably keeps that alive then.
Yeah, it'll be now. It was a 13-point edge. It'll be now a 16-point edge. And no, that should clinch it for Nick Galante and Devin Jones.
Okay.
So congratulations to
may
that Bimmer
have
World team.
Another championship. Shea Adam has been doing the hard yards, literally down in the pit lane, as our Continental Tire pit lane reporter. Jeremy Shaw and me, John Hindhaugh, were getting excited in the booth as once again the IMSA Continental Tire SportsCar Challenge has delivered, and the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca 120 is in the books. We've got Atlanta to come. You just don't dare want to miss that, because we could have just the same kind of excitement again to take us to the end of the season. Congratulations to TGM, to the 46 crew of Hugh Plum and Owen Trinkler. They have done a great job today, and they are, well, more than one hand on the championship trophy. Brilliant stuff from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, living up again to its reputation as one of the hardest and most challenging tracks in North America. It's delivered, and so has this race. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you'll be with us tomorrow for the WeatherTech race itself. We can promise you even more excitement on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. Bye-bye.